Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate Investor Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andresa.
So we have a very special treat for you for this minisode. We have Jenna Kutcher on our minisode, and she gets into so many powerful topics. We talk about moving through self-doubt, confidence, what's getting in our way as women to be the best versions of ourselves, right, Andresa?
Yes. And we are in the culture where you're either hustling or you are sitting down on the beach and manifesting it. And she talks about what the middle ground looks like. Very powerful minisode. This is a special guest, and I don't want you to miss it.
Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andresa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Investor Show, where our mission is to empower women to live a financially free and balanced life.
Whatever that means to you. I cannot miss that.
We always like to say that. Andresa likes to throw that in there. We have a very special mini-sode, which you are back with. We have a mini-sode every week. We have a full-length interview every week. We do 2 episodes. And we really are pumped to have Jenna Kutcher with us today for our special edition mini-sode. So Jenna, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I love what you guys do. Like if I could have a second or 18th job, I should say, it would be what you guys do. Just saying.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. And we really don't bring guests on our minisodes. We kind of hold them very, very closely, but we are so pumped to have a very deep yet brief conversation with you. And we're going to jump right in a second here, Andresa. Mm-hmm. You have the floor very quickly, and then we're going to start rattling off some questions.
Yeah. Talking about like, how are you? How are we feeling? Many times we go to real estate conferences and there's so much pressure into networking and just getting business cards. And that's not what we want. That's not what we stand for. InvestorCon coming up in June 23rd and 24th. We have prepared mindful breaks where women have the option to check in to see, okay, I would like to network, or I need to take a nap, or I need to check on my family.
That's me.
Right? Or I just want to have coffee by myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. So for the first time ever, we're offering that. We're encouraging that throughout InvestorCon. We're asking yourself to check, how am I feeling? What do I need? So we can set up what success looks like for ourselves. So if you have not got your ticket yet, go to therealestateinvestor.com/InvestorCon. So let's dive in. And Jenna, I'm going to read something that you wrote. You said, forget hustle harder. Forget a mandatory 5 a.m. wake up. Forget outlining your life plan in 6 months, 1 year, and 5 year spans. We are living in a cultural shift as we reframe our perspectives around the purpose of work, what work-life balance really means, and how we want to spend our time on this planet. Jenna, my dear, how do we get started with all of it?
Yeah. It's funny because when I first started writing my book, I asked my editor, why did you choose me and why this book? And she said, it's really fascinating right now, the time that we're in, especially for driven, ambitious women, and even more specifically, like women in business. She said, I feel like there are 2 camps that we're living in. It's either the hustle harder, wake up earlier, always be available, never say no. And then there's the other camp where it's like, just manifest it, just put it into the universe and it'll come. And she's like, you live in the middle. You live where the woo meets the work, where you hold the vision for yourself, but you take tiny action towards it. And I really believe and resonate in that, where it's like in a polarizing world that has so many things that we have to feel like we have to choose. How do we find more of that middle ground, especially as women who want big things for their life, but don't want to waste their life in the pursuit of them, if that makes sense?
Totally. Yeah, that's the key, right? That's the holy grail right there.
That
what
is.
You just said.
Yes.
And what are some, ways that women start to unfold that thinking and that more than thinking, right? It's like a way of being. It's it's got to be holistic, right? Because we can't stay in our heads. And
right.
What we're, and I know I'm excited to really, read your entire book and just the path that you've taken.
Yeah.
So I know that what's beautiful about the book, right? You've weaved your story into it as you're teaching lessons and having women and people journal and think about their own lives, which is just a wonderful way to approach it. Yeah. So what are some of those like initial questions that women can ask?
There's this exercise in the book that I think anyone that's listening should do, regardless of if you read it or not. I hope you do read it, but if you don't, listen to this. So I was sitting around a business table. It was mostly men and led by like an incredible leader, Brendan Burchard. And he had us walk through this exercise. And the exercise was, so often in life we have gratitude, right? Gratitude is a beautiful practice of like, oh, what are these things that have shifted my life? But he said, I don't want you to think about things that have already happened. I want for you to think of scenes in your life where you fully embody what success means for you. Like, imagine you being the director of your life and the main character, and you're moving through these scenes of like, what do you want for your life? Like for me, my scene was like making pancakes on a Saturday morning with my kids, music playing, no devices out, just like being fully present and awake and aware. And what's crazy about this practice is the idea is that when you live those scenes, because you will, because you're ambitious, because you already have the drive, when you are living them, you're awake to them. Because how many people in our lives say, I missed it. Like I was there, but I wasn't really there. Like if I could go back to be with my children or be with my parents or be in community with people, I would do it so differently. And so I love that visualization exercise because I think we're so caught up in what success should look like that we don't often ask, like, what should success feel like? And it's funny because every single Saturday when we make pancakes as a family, my husband undoubtedly will look over at me and I have tears in my eyes. And he's like, oh, you realize it again, right? You're in it. Like you're in it and you're here for it. And I just really have this deep belief of like, I want people to wake up to their lives that are happening today.
Oh, I love that. And I was going to say it about the tearing up because I tear up almost every morning when I drop my son off school. Yeah. And I say the same thing. He goes around the corner and I stop the car, put the window down. Yeah. And I say it to him in Portuguese, ciao, Lorenzo. And then he waved back to me. And that's when I know I am living my life. And then I turn around and go with my day. Yes. So that's what success looks like to me, right? Jenna, we are real estate investors and all the women that are listening are investors as well. Many of them. I
am too. Great. We love real.
Oh my gosh, Jenna, gotta come
we
back.
We have lots of property.
To talk about that.
Oh, let me tell you all, like we have, let's see here. We have 5 properties right now. 3 of them are rental income properties. I love real estate so much. We're building a home and I was like, I don't think I'm like a forever home kind of person. I better be now because we're building one. But I love you guys
estate. Broke ground on
Yes, we just broke ground. Nice. So it's like terrifying. Congrats. But I'm like, well, I'll just keep investing in more real estate if I get the itch, which I will get the itch because I love
Well,
real
let
estate,
me know if you need support with the construction piece.
Deal.
It's fun. So many of the women very successful in real estate, right? But that does not protect them from self-doubt, imposter syndrome. How do we snap out of it? Yeah. Or is there such a thing?
Yeah. You know, what's so funny is I believe that imposter syndrome is really just this projection of what the world is telling us we should be. And it's like this disconnection from like who we actually are. And I think when we think about things like fear or imposter syndrome, it's really what we're saying is a lack of confidence. Because when you have that self-belief, when you have that assuredness of like, this is who I am, this is what I meant to do, this is what success looks like for me, you don't have those things, right? And so there's this line in my book that says like the way we rise up to our battles is directly linked to the type of warrior we believe we are. And when I think about women in business, it's like we're showing up to the fight and like being like, choose this guy, or like, not me, I'm not ready. Like, don't pick me. And that all stems from this like lack of confidence. So if you're curious on how I believe you should build confidence, it's not through these radical 5-step processes. It's through making tiny progress. I think we live in a world that doesn't celebrate slow growth. But when you think about it, the slower the growth, the deeper the roots. And as women in business, I think it's so important that we really focus on like, how do I prove to myself that I will follow through on this, that my dreams matter, that I'm worthy of the success that I desire? And how do I like flex that muscle and strengthen it so that my belief in myself grows, my confidence grows, and then those other things just literally fade away?
It's interesting because confidence is so different for women, right? You have women who are self-confident, and you have women who are confident that aren't confident in new things. Yeah. And then you have women that are like, bring on the new things. I love this. I love the chaos. And so, as women are navigating that part of themselves, right? Something's coming up for them. They're not feeling confident. What are some ways they can move through that? Get aware of it, because obviously there's an awareness element of everything, right?
Yes.
Before we can shift something, we have to be aware of it. But what have you seen in the women you've worked with and supported, how they can kind of move through that in a way that quite honestly works for their own style? Because there's some women who are just not ever going to be this extremely like outward facing confident person, but they could be internally confident. So what are some ways that you've seen to
I love that, Liz. I think you hit the nail on the head with this level of awareness. So when we think about the title of the book, How Are You Really? It's like when we cut the fluff and get past the like good, busy, busy equals success. Success is this. It's like we really get to the heart of it. And I think that so much of confidence comes from alignment. What I mean by that is like we have so many things out in the world that are wonderful. Like personal development is incredible. I'm in that space. I love that space. But we have gotten as a culture so focused on the development piece that we've forgotten the personal aspect of it, right? Like we could all consume the same training taught by the same leader and walk away with totally different things if we are self-aware. And this society has gotten so used to adopting, 5-step processes. This is the method. This is the juice cleanse. Here's how to do this. And I think all of those things are so beautiful and so powerful, but we've lost that like checking in with ourselves of like, does this resonate? Does this make sense for me? Does this excite me? Does this give me goosebumps? Am I afraid of this? Like we've forgotten to like check in with ourselves to really, honor who we are and leverage the tools, tips, and strategies in a way that suits us. And so I agree with you. Confidence shows up differently for everyone. My confidence is different than your confidence, but it comes with that level of self-awareness. It's like when I started to write the book, I had a level of self-awareness where I was like, I don't want to have a book deal and I don't want to have a deadline. If I want to write this book, I'm going to do it in private without anybody coming in, because the minute that a paycheck and a deadline come into my life, my creativity is squashed. So I had the awareness of like, if nobody sees this, this matters to me and I'm going to do this work. Then I enter into that business side of things. And so it's like when we take that level of self-awareness, we create our best work, we show up in our best form, but we're also able to say no without apologizing. It gives us like a very clear boundary of like, thank you for this, but this isn't meant for me. And, moving on without like apologizing. So I think that's really powerful too.
I think throughout the years, right, especially different industry, but the real estate industry, right? We heard from white American 45 male wearing a suit from stage telling us how long their morning routine is, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever that is, what success looks like, how many doors we should own, pictures of the cars, pictures of the checks, whatever that is, the jet, whatever, right? And then we're like, wow, is that how, how the hell I'm going to get 3 hours in the morning to do all of that? If I can just brush
I got a baby
teeth.
monitor on my nightstand.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
Right. So I think I really like what you're saying. No matter who you're getting your advice, your mentorship from, is like, does this fit? Does it
serve you?
Does it serve me? And I think that sometimes we didn't even ask what we want. As investors, we talked about like assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
And I want to read something again that you mentioned. You said, every dream will cost you something. But remember, you aren't the risk. You are the investment. And I love that. So why women should stop walking around as they are liabilities?
Yes. We're all thinking that we are the risk. Like we all would bet on anyone else before we would bet on ourselves, right? Like investing in ourselves feels like a selfish thing, or it feels like a waste. And it's crazy to me because the times in my life where I've invested in myself, like even thinking about your conference, like for anyone listening, if you're thinking through of like, okay, is it selfish to do this? This money could go to someone else. Your investment compounds through the connections, through the knowledge. You learn something once, you can apply it for the rest of your life and reap the rewards of that. But women don't look at knowledge in that way. Women don't look at connections in that way. And so it's crazy to me because it's like you investing in yourself can be the thing that changes your life. Those who pay attention. Listen to me now. There is no shortage of free knowledge out there. And that's a wonderful world we live in. But when we get things for free, we don't implement in a way that really backs up the investment. And I know for me, every time I've invested in myself and it's felt a little bit scary, you better believe that I'm going to do everything in my power to make that a worthy investment, to prove myself as a worthy investor and to prove myself as like the investment piece, the piece that will like benefit from this for the days and months and years to come.
So last question, and Jenna, this has been absolutely amazing. When people ask you how you're doing, what do you often say?
Yeah. You know, what's funny is Liz, when I named the book this, I should have known like every interview. I'm like, oh, now and
you're going to get that answer. Of course. I got to ask you.
You know, what's so beautiful though. And I think so many of your listeners can likely relate is that, especially for women, a lot of us feel spread thin, right? Like we feel like we are just being stretched. And one thing that I've just kept coming home to in this season of busyness for me is like, I am only stretched thin because I have so much love in my life, love for motherhood, love for business, love for this book, love for the people who are in my circle. And so it's like, sometimes we have to flip the script on like, you're feeling stretched thin because your life is so full. And like, what a privilege and a blessing that is. So that's where I'm at. And I feel really energized. And so that's really exciting too.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And we'll drop in the show notes about your new book. So thank you so much for being a special guest on our minisode, and excited to have more conversations and connections with you.
Absolutely. And congratulations to both of you and the work that you're doing. It is so powerful when women embody the spirit that we need, that like we can connect to. And so just congratulations to the both of you. It's absolutely amazing. And if I have like a second lifetime and an 18th career, I will have my butt in a seat at your conference.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, Jenna.
Thank you too.
All right. Bye now.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share it with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.